All right, we're in traffic, so we're going to talk about the papacy. We're going to talk about the popes. Right now it is Pope Leo the 14th, born in Chicago. Robert Prevost, 70, just turned 70 years old. He was an Augustinian. He was a bishop in Peru for a while, has a canon doctorate in canon law. He was in charge of the dicastery for the bishops, so like helping select the candidates that the Pope would eventually pick to fill in the bishops' roles, which are modern day apostles. Never thought we would see an American Pope. Pretty amazing. He was only made a cardinal 2 years ago yesterday. So yeah, just amazing how the Holy Spirit works, how things work out in history. Pretty fascinating. Before him was Pope Francis. He was the Pope when I converted in 2016. And before him was Benedict. I started getting interested in the Catholic side of Christianity when Benedict was Pope. I don't remember a thing about St. John Paul II, the famous Polish Pope. Before him was obviously John Paul I. He was only Pope for like a month, 30-some days. And then it was John the 23rd. He was Pope for a while, Italian. Him and John Paul I were Italians. And then, I haven't had an Italian Pope in a while. So John the 23rd was Pope during the Second Vatican Council. And then, Paul VI was after John the 23rd. My mistake. So then, Paul VI finished the Second Vatican Council. And then, before Paul VI, John Paul II, John Paul I, and then it was Paul VI, and before that was John the 23rd. Excuse me. And then, before that, I could be wrong, but we had the Pope Pius the 12th during World War II. And then, Benedict the 15th was back there. I don't recall if he was during World War I. That might have been Pius the 10th. But famous popes, in modern times. I know John Paul II was Pope for 3 decades, pretty much. Benedict, before he resigned, famously was like 8 years, and then, Francis was like 10 or 12 or something. So, and then, Pope Leo's pretty young. He could be there a while. It's back in the Bible. He picks Peter as out of the apostles, Peter is the rock. On this rock I will build my church. And in the Acts of the Apostles, they have a big meeting. And who is leading it? Peter. The papacy, the Petrine office is, the top authority. He is the vicar of Christ. He's Christ's representative on earth. Christ is obviously the head of the church. We are just here on, his earthly church. But the 1870, I believe, was when the the Lateran Treaty was made, and so the Vatican City State was implemented. Before that, they were, quote, prisoner in the Vatican after the Italian Republic was created and all that. But before that, obviously, was the Papal States. There's so much history, so much to read here. And then the Pope would pick emperors, like back in the Roman Empire, like it's just fascinating. Their Linus, Clement were in the Bible, obviously, as well as Peter. And A lot of early popes, first 20 or so, were martyred. There's always been turmoil. There have been bad popes, good popes. And that rests on them and their shoulders. There's so much to look up. There's been 267 successors of Peter. In the past 2,000 some years. So yeah, it is pretty fascinating. There's been one, before, I think it was Pope Adrian, an English pope in the, was it 1400s or something? Spoke English until now, Pope Leo. There's been one, Adrian was the first Dutch pope, only Dutch pope from the Netherlands, so that's pretty fascinating. Obviously, the most have been from Italy. There was a time when the papacy moved to Avignon, France. A lot of politics, a lot of wars, a lot of fighting, infighting. Anti-popes, people trying to claim the papacy and not. Lots of craziness there. There's wrecks all over the place today. But yeah, when Pope speaks ex cathedra from the throne, that has only happened twice since it was officially declared. It was the Immaculate Conception and the Assumption of Mary. Two widely held positions dating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years back. Not controversial if you do the research. No, so basically only once after Vatican I implemented that, they went around and asked every bishop. I believe that was Pius XII. I could be wrong, but that is popes can have opinions. They can be, quote, I don't want to say wrong, but what they say in some matters, it's not like an oracle or anything like that of this is it, it's final, like just a random interview. Church teaching has to be declared from the throne ex cathedra, and like I said, they wouldn't just do it willy-nilly. They can't just pull something out of their hat. They've things that have been researched and asked upon and looked upon. So that's an interesting thing. And that throne is in St. John Lateran's in Rome, the Papal Basilica. People think it's St. Peter's, but it's not. That is not. It's the Archbasilica of St. John Lateran. One day it'd be cool to go there. But yeah. We'll see how Pope Leo does. It's always an interesting time. I know Pope Francis came to the U.S. in Philadelphia about 10 years ago. Benedict came to the U.S. St. John Paul II came, I think, to Denver for World Youth Day in the 90s. D.C., I believe him, Reagan, and Thatcher were defeating communism together, which is pretty great. John Paul II, huge character. He was the first non-European pope in centuries, back when he was picked in like the 70s. But yeah, quick little video on that. Again, so much more to talk about, so many things to look up. It's pretty fascinating. Yeah. We will see you later.